Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And it's time for some more non-news, because that's kind of what CM Punk news is these days. But you know what? When a new report drops from a Fightful Select about CM Punk, well, gosh darn it, we're going to talk about it, Larson.
I think we're obligated to. We're a wrestling podcast. If anything regarding CM Punk, any sort of news drops, I think we're obligated to talk about
Contractually speaking,
we have no choice in the matter. So you have the paperwork in hand right there. I see it.
Contractually speaking, we have to talk about
I'm pretty
CM
sure that's
Punk.
your MyGM notebook, but I could be wrong.
It's like my catch-all notebook, actually. So, Larson, what's the latest on CM Punk for people who are dying to know?
Of course, in case you're completely new to this story, let's provide some context here. It's been mentioned various outlets, numerous outlets, and even Dax Harwood has mentioned that CM Punk still wants to wrestle. Dax, on his latest episode of his podcast, stated, quote, "I will say that I talk to Punk almost every day, and Punk misses wrestling." That's your headline. Punk misses wrestling, and Punk wants to come back, and he wants to give back to the fans. He wants to give back to wrestling. It's like a really poorly kept secret that Phil wants to come back to wrestling. But the question has always been, where? Where is he going to wrestle? You know, for several weeks following Brawl Out, word was that AEW and Punk were negotiating a contract buyout. Nothing about that for months, seemingly. Today, Fightful Select reported that they've learned that Punk has told AEW that he wants to come back and that he'd be willing to work with the Elite when he came back. But also, according to Fightful, Punk has let it be known that he'd still come back to AEW. You'd have meant no Elite. No working with the Elite. And sources also told Fightful that Punk is open to working elsewhere, although it wasn't clear exactly where elsewhere would be. Would that be Ring of Honor? Would that be New Japan? Would that be WWE? Who knows?
Man wants to wrestle. Moist critical wrestling. Moist wrestling. Whatever that's called. Anyways, number one, when you said it's a worst kept secret in wrestling, it's because Dax Harwood endlessly talks about it. I have a theory about that, Larson. I have a conspiracy theory that CM Punk is getting a cut of Dax Harwood's podcast. He's like, hey, listen, I blew through all my AEW money. No more is coming in unless I step up and I convince them to take me back. If you want, I'll give you a scoop every day. Dax, if you give me a piece of your podcast, because the podcast is doing pretty well. It's always at
it is
the top
really
of the charts.
But here's the thing. That's not exactly
why it's doing well.
He wants to come back to wrestling. Everybody knows that.
You know why it's doing well? Because every day Dax talks about CM Punk, seemingly. Yeah. So, poorly kept secret. Everybody kind of knows. It's been ages now. CM Punk has been talking about wanting to come back to wrestling on some live show. Dax Harwood. What if Dax was just making all? It'd be great if he was just making all this stuff up. I don't think he is, because CM Punk always tweets out or Instagram stories out pictures of him with FTR. They do seem to be pretty close.
Yeah, they do. Speaking, I'm happy you mentioned Instagram posts, because Punk, seemingly in response to this Fightful stuff today, had a post. It's his face poorly photoshopped over Sylvester Stallone's face on the poster of Rocky 3.
Wow, editorializing his Photoshop skills. That's pretty rough, man. You know, I think maybe he did his best job he could.
Have you seen the image?
Yeah, I have.
Would you describe it any other way?
No, it was really bad. But, I'm trying to give old Phil the benefit of the doubt.
I think it was supposed to be, it's like intentionally bad, so it's fine.
Listen, I'm tired of your CM Punk slander. He did nothing wrong, Larson.
You mean with the Photoshop or just kind of period?
I don't know, whatever. All jokes aside, it does seem, though, I mean, I kind of get the feeling that he is going to be coming back. And it's sort of, the whole him calling Jericho a stooge and Meltzer a liar, all kind of stuff, him publicly expressing dismay over all this stuff. It's much ado about nothing. It's a blip. And if it happens next week, guess what? We're going to have to learn that it's going to be much ado about nothing, because he'll probably be back probably in time for the Wembley show. That's my thoughts right now.
Yeah. I mean, if Tony Khan wants him back, he'll be back. That's really what it comes down to. If Phil has interest, and Tony Khan has interest, and Phil wants it back in AEW, and Tony Khan wants it back in AEW, it's going to happen.
What we really should do, though, is come up with a list of people who would work with CM Punk and AEW. And one thing about AEW is that seemingly the wrestlers are given a bit of freedom to kind of say, no, I don't want to do this, that, or the other. And according to that same Fightful Select report, the Bucks and Kenny aren't too keen on working with CM Punk again.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I have to wonder why. So even though CM Punk might be interested in working with them, according to this new information, which is kind of common sense, but interesting to hear some sort of perhaps backstage confirmation, they really don't want part. Look, for all I know, they'd be like, oh yeah, it was just a big mess and we're over it and we want to make some money with the guy. But no, they're like, no, I'm good with that. Don't want to do it. Even though that's going to be the money match. I know. That's going to be the big thing.
And there was the report a while back about a majority of the top of the card talent in AEW has no interest in working with CM Punk. So, if he were to come back and the Elite said no to working with him, Mox, for example, said no, Jericho said no. I mean, Punk's going to be a mid-carder, more or less, then. It's going to be a TNT champ, maybe.
Well, we get... It ain't gonna be. I just think, like, okay, let's say you and I were wrestling promoters, Larson.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We have our own promotion. It's called Action Coast Wrestling. If you're John Pencil Booker, and you're the promoter of this company, and this guy brings you a lot of business, but nobody really wants to work with him. Don't you sort of just Brock Lesnar him? You say, okay, well, here's the biggest problem with like the Brock Lesnar route, right? Brock Lesnar had the biggest matches against the biggest opponents. And the names that you just named, they're not. So and look, for all I know, and I know he's chummy with the Elite, but Chugs seems like he might be cool working with them. But beyond that, MJF probably.
Yeah, maybe.
But they already did a big thing.
Yeah. They could revisit that, though.
He ain't gonna. It's not gonna be like Brody King, although Brody King is Malachi adjacent. So maybe Malachi versus Punk could be a cool thing. That could be neat.
Here's the thing: there's a lot of potentially.
Can't feud with Danhausen forever. We know he loves Danhausen.
Yeah, I mean, he could do the trios thing with FTR. There's things for him to do, but I'm talking about the money matches.
Yeah, you're right. Those are kind of off the table.
And outside of MJF and maybe Chugs and maybe Jay White or something like that. I don't know. But given everything that's happened, the match everybody wants to see is either Punk Kenny or Punk FTR against the Elite. And if Punk comes back and they never have that match, it's gonna seem really strange. Everybody's gonna understand why, but it's gonna be weird.
Who's gonna be the first one to dig at the other one? If he could, let's say, the
answer's Phil.
I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. I think it'd be the Bucks. Phil, look, I know Phil has not exactly shown that he can be on best behavior. See his Instagram. But saying, according to this report, saying that he's willing to play nice with the Elite, saying he's willing to keep separate from them, I would think that maybe he would consider them off limits. And it'd be like Matt, who'd throw some shot.
Well, I mean, it'd be
here's the point. Somebody's going to throw a shot, and Tony Khan's not going to do anything about it.
Oh, of course. Yes, that we can agree on. I mean, I'm just going by what was one of the first things Punk said when he came back from injury. Took a shot at Hangman Page.
Yeah, that's true.
And as we've seen in his Instagram stories, he's got a hard time not saying something a lot of the times.
Yeah.
That's why. I mean, if it's like Matt or Nick, it's probably something subtle on being the Elite or something like that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, man. These guys, they seem to think that they can kind of get away with a lot with subtle digs at the end. The whole. Yeah, I don't know. The whole thing is kind of a mess, and but the Elite versus, and the other thing here is the Elite versus FTR. If Tony Khan says to FTR, I'm sorry. The Elite versus FTR and Punk, if he says to them, okay, you guys are losing, what do you do then? How do you get these guys together in a room and say, all right, well, you guys somebody's got to lose here. I don't think he's going to want to lose.
Get a third trios team in there.
Best friends. Throw the best friends in there.
You get the Blackpool Combat Club. You get Mox. You get Claudio, and you get Bryan Danielson in there.
Oh, you want them to shoot on him, is what you're saying?
No, you get all
That's
the
what they
elements.
did in the old days.
You get all the elements there. Mox got heat with Punk, maybe the Elite Punk. It's all there.
You got 6 guys who have heat with one of the guys in the match. So, yeah, you're talking about a shoot situation. You're going to lose because if you don't, we got Mox here. We got Claudio, who's stronger than everybody.
You have Wheeler in the match, and he takes the pin.
No way, man. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. So do you think, because Wembley is still a ways off.
Yeah, they got 4 months.
They have to sell like 40 to 80,000 tickets. You know, otherwise they look like fools.
40, yeah. I don't think they have to sell 80, even with Phil there.
No, I'm saying
80.
They got to sell 40, but they'd love to sell 80.
Yeah, obviously. You know? I don't even know if they're setting it up for 80. That remains to be seen.
Well, they're going to see what look, the pre-sales are what, like 25,000?
Yeah, the initial pre-sales. Registration for pre-sales was 25, yeah.
That's pretty good so far.
That is good.
You're going to have this huge, and if you think, oh, we can get 40 out the gate, we'd love to get this to 80. Don't you do what you can to make that match? That's going to be the match at Wembley, isn't it?
I mean, that's the one Dax wants.
Yeah. Well, if he can convince the other guys. It does. What he's saying makes sense.
It makes all the sense. It does.
That's the match.
That is.
What do you think that's going to happen? That's going to be the match, right? If Tony Khan can pull this off, does he deserve Promoter of the Year?
By who?
I don't know. Dave Meltzer's fans, apparently. I don't know.
Oh, probably then. Yeah.
He's going to get it regardless. Going in Raw fans, our crew, Friendo Club people, and at the Friendo Awards, are they going to put Tony Khan as Booker of the Year if he gets these 6 guys to be on the same page?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Triple H might still get it. There's a lot of year left, so.
There is a lot of year left. It's not going to go to Vince McMahon for his one Raw contribution. Anyways, so yeah, what do you guys think? What's going to be the match at Wembley? It's got to be the 6-man.
Well, it seems like it's going to be Kenny and Ospreay at Forbidden Door because they got that tournament going on, and the winner faces Kenny at Forbidden Door.
And the promotional stuff looks like Forbidden Door.
And then Kenny or Ospreay's in that little mini tournament, so he's going to face Kenny at Forbidden Door and probably win that U.S. title back.
80,000 people are going to watch CM Punk go into business for himself at Wembley. That's what's going to happen.
Who's he going to shoot on?
You know what I mean. He's going to be like snarky about the whole thing.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like he was going to be like shoot on somebody during the match. I'm like, well, that's not based on what we've seen of Phil's fighting ability. It's not going to go well for him.
I watched both his UFC matches. He ain't shooting on anybody. But you know what I mean. Yes. He's gonna be on the same, not on the same page as everybody else. I'd be kind of surprised.
It's going to be like Warrior Hogan at Halloween Havoc 98.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I hope that's not it. I hope they do something really entertaining and everybody makes a lot of money and everybody's really happy because it's good for our business when that happens.
Exactly.
It's kind of better for our business for them to be on the wrong page, but whatever. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today because, they love the drama. People love the drama. We saw what Brawl In men every day. Another Brawl Out thumbnail.
Months after the fact, it's still.
Yeah. The MVP was Brawl Out and Cody in the year 2022 for our channels. Mm-hmm. Anyways, that's going to do it for this news brief. You guys sick of CM Punk info? Do you get the point? He wants to come back to wrestling. What do you have the odds at CM Punk coming back to wrestling? Load us up in the comments. Let us know.
Yes, please.
Oh, boy. All right. We'll talk to you guys later.
Goodbye.